Welcome to the Multi-Orgasmic Mama podcast, where sexual taboos are broken. I'm Tilly Storm, holistic sex coach and jade egg and tantric sex teacher. I work with luxury lovers, teaching them the art of better, sacred sex by helping them remove all their blocks to pleasure, turn on confidence and connection, so they can step into their fullest potential and power as humans and alchemists in the 3D. If you'd like to learn how to release shame and guilt destroying your sex life so you can feel fully sexually liberated and free, you can access my How to Release Shame and Guilt training at www.tillystorm.com/shame. This episode is brought to you by the Sensually Embodied Woman Collective. If you're ready to remove all your blocks to pleasure, turn on and feeling confident and sexy in your body through my paid programs and offerings, then head to www.tillystorm.com today. Welcome back, my loves. It's Tilly Storm, and today I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit about a word that came out of my mouth the other day that really hit home, and I'm like, ooh, finally I found the words to explain what it is that I do. And that word being the 5D relationship matrix. What is that? What is a relationship matrix? And today I'm going to be sharing you a little bit about the differences between the 3D relationship matrix versus the 5D relationship matrix, and why the 3D matrix is keeping you trapped and spinning your wheels and keeping you stuck in patterns where you're either trauma bonding with someone or you continue to have the same arguments come up all of the time, all of that good stuff. But before we dive in, I want to remind you all that we have a new round of Sensually Embodied Women. It's always open for enrollment, but we're starting a test drive for those of you who want to try it out. Make sure this is where you want to be, and that this is the program that will fully serve you in your sex life and relationship and reaching the goals that you have for that. It's not for people who aren't committed and who aren't willing to put in time and effort into this, because that is required, and I'm pretty sure that's implicit in joining any coaching programs of any sort. But it is a chance for you to work in the Sensually Embodied Woman program with me and my assistant for 3 weeks, and to try it out for a nominal fee and see if it's the right place for you, and if you really feel that staying and the entire transformational experience is what's going to serve you in your relationship with yourself or your partner the best. It's the perfect place to get started on your conscious sexuality journey, really integrating and healing parts and pieces of you, like inner child pieces that are showing up in your sex life and relationship that you're totally unconscious of. Working with embodiment practices, the jade egg practice in particular, to cleanse and clear your system of the traumas and the negative conditioning that are no longer serving you in your sexuality, that are keeping you disconnected from your partner, keeping you disconnected from your body. We've had some epic wins and breakthroughs these past 2 weeks with the current girls in the program, and there are, breaking out of patterns of faking orgasms, breaking out of patterns of being in depression and anxiety, and really wondering if life is ever going to feel joyful. We have people having their first energy orgasms and orgasms from penetration. And all of this is because of the deep work that we do in this program. This is not, I would say, it's not for a novice. If you've never learned about any sexuality work, or you've never been to any therapy or counseling before, it might be a bit much for you. So that's why we give you a test drive to see if this really truly is the step that you need to take in the direction for your goals and desires to come true. All right, so let's talk about the relationship matrix. The 3D relationship matrix is really about us being in this old paradigm of relationship. And the 5D matrix is the one that we are entering into through our conscious and ascension journey. The 5D relationship matrix is vastly different than the 3D. And almost everyone, I would say 99.9999% of the world is living in a 3D relationship matrix. And it's really sad because it is keeping you trapped. It's keeping you a prisoner to your relationships. It's keeping you from feeling free, from feeling liberated in your sexuality or your relationship. It's keeping you in a contract, basically, is what it is. The 5D relationship matrix, well, we're still figuring out what that even is, but we know some of the steps and we know the difference between the two, and I'm going to share those with you. All right, so the first way that the 3D relationship matrix is keeping you trapped is it says that love is a conditional contract. It says that, you do this and I do that, and as long as we stick to these roles and we do these things that we've unconsciously committed to, then I'll stay around and I will give you love. This is a contractual relationship. This is what marriage has been for thousands and thousands of years. And it's also very archaic. It's pretty old. And the 5D relationship matrix says, actually, love isn't about a contract. Marriage isn't even about a contract. It's about frickin' divine union. It is about divine union, and it says love is unconditional. That when you learn to love yourself, when you learn to love all parts and pieces of you, it's going to be easier to show up and unconditionally love your partner. Now, I always say that you're the only one who can ever give yourself unconditional love. That is because we aren't perfect, because none of us can in all times show up and unconditionally love someone if we can't do that for ourselves. Because the way that you learn to do that for other people is through yourself. So you can't possibly unconditionally love someone if you don't unconditionally love you. The 5D relationship matrix busts through the contract, and it says, if you don't love yourself, if you don't even know how to love yourself, how could you possibly love another human? And that love is unconditional because it's divine love. Divine love is unconditional. So that's the difference between marriage and divine union. So the second way that the 3D relationship matrix is keeping you trapped is it says that if things aren't going great, maybe that means we aren't meant to be together. That we have our ups and downs, it's been okay, it's been so-so, and I guess that's just how it's supposed to be. Maybe if I leave this, then the grass will be greener on the other side. And this is keeping you trapped because guess what's going to happen? You're going to think the grass is greener on the other side, and you don't do anything to change the patterns and the conditioning that have gotten you to this plot of land in the first place, and you're going to go off and meet someone with the same demeanor, the same behavior. You're going to attract the same damn thing over and over and over again until you choose to do something else. The 5D relationship matrix says relationship conflicts happen to bring up all the parts and pieces of you in need of healing and integration. That it doesn't mean you're not meant to be together or that the grass is greener on the other side. It means that something's up to be healed and integrated. Our society is being trapped in, building relationships with people because we think we can just jump ship all of the freaking time and it's going to be better if we just leave. Okay. Now, there are certainly some times when you need to leave, right? In terms of abuse and, extremely narcissistic behavior from your partners, all that sort of thing. But there are many really good relationships that end completely unnecessarily because people don't value growth and healing within relationship itself. So the 5D relationship matrix says that we don't leave just because we're having a hard time. It means we commit to the relationship itself and we do the healing and integration required to bust through this, because what's on the other side of that? More intimacy, more connection, more divine love. All right. The third way that the 3D relationship matrix is keeping you trapped is that it says, if the intimacy slows or stops, if we stop having sex, if, it's really rare or infrequent, then I'm going to find satisfaction somewhere else. So most couples do this. You might not want to admit that this is happening in your own relationship, but almost all the time, if you're not having sex, or if the intimacy just is really rare, one of you is either going to end up cheating, having an affair, watching porn a lot, maybe even becoming addicted to it, or maybe those things haven't happened, but you build up resentment from the partner who's withholding, and maybe you just give up altogether, okay? Now, again, a lot of people don't want to believe that this is what's going to happen, but it does. And you need to face that truth, that if you're hardly having sex, your partner is most likely going to find satisfaction somewhere else. So if it's not already happening, then you need to come to terms with it and do something about it. So the 5D relationship matrix says this: if intimacy slows or stops, I'm going to find satisfaction within. Okay, 3D, I'll find satisfaction elsewhere. 5D, I'll find satisfaction within. What does that mean? That means getting intimate with yourself to see what blocks and obstacles are in the way of you having intimacy in the first place. What's keeping you from intimately connecting with your partner? What is that? Is it the resentment that you've been holding on to? Have you been withholding from your partner? Has a shadow feminine aspect been showing up? Withholding from your partner to control and manipulate? A lot of time, that's what most women are doing. There's a shadow feminine aspect that exists in most women to control and manipulate and to use sex to do it. So if intimacy slows or stops, in the 5D relationship matrix, we say, all right, yeah, I recognize I've been doing these things, and I'm going to seek satisfaction from inside of me. I'm going to start a conscious self-pleasure practice. I'm going to reconnect to my body and sexuality and see what's really going on inside that's keeping me from connecting with this human that I love, that I maybe even married. So it seeks to dive in and discover the root cause of the dissatisfaction, to really do and bring to light the purposes of number 2, which was that relationship conflicts happen to get you to heal and integrate parts and pieces of you that are up for healing, that are ready to be healed. And I know last week I shared that you need to consider it a goddamn blessing that you can, and that we have the combination of ancient practices and modern psychology and psychotherapy practices to know what those techniques are, because this is the first generation that has ever had access to both a scientific understanding of trauma healing and also a spiritual understanding of it. All right, so number 4. The fourth way the 3D relationship matrix is keeping you trapped is that the old way says that you need to stay exactly how you are forever. If you change, maybe you'll grow out of loving me. So you're probably worried your partner's going to change, or maybe I'm going to change, and then if I do this work, maybe we won't be together anymore. Well, maybe you won't. Guess what? There's no guarantee in love or life. There are no guarantees in love or life. Maybe if you actually do the deeper healing and integrating work, it means that you do separate or get divorced. And it's unfortunate, but it happens because some partners aren't willing to change. But if we adopted this idea, the 5D relationship matrix idea, that growing and evolving together is necessary and it is a part of our ascension process, then it wouldn't be so scary or so difficult to grow together, to actually have a growth mindset, a transformational, personal development growth mindset within the relationship itself. If you've been with someone for years or decades and neither of you have, or maybe one of you has, done more personal development work than the other one, it's not that, maybe your partner is willing to get on that train. But if you've been approaching it in a way that makes them feel wrong or bad, or like that they haven't fulfilled you in some way because they're not doing it, I promise you they're not going to ever do it. It's usually the approach that you come into, like, oh, let's read this book together. And your partner's like, no, I don't want to. And then there's an attack. There's like a constant bickering about it. This is what most women do, right? They bicker, they complain, and they don't actually inspire their partner to do personal development or growth work with him. Many of the women in my programs will say like, oh, I got divorced or I broke up because, my partner, he just wouldn't change. He got mad at me. This even happened to me. Like the first time I was married, I got married when I was 20, for the first time. My partner did not grow at all. He had, a high school education, barely a high school education. And I had gone through college. I had gone and got a master's degree. I had a baby unassisted at home. And I had my awakening process through that birth experience, right? And I started reading every self-help book I could possibly get my hands on. I wasn't quite into sexuality work yet, but I was growing, and he was not at all. So I do understand that there are definitely challenges, and even trying to inspire him didn't help, right? And there were so many other dynamics going on, and I was just way too freaking young to have married someone at that time. But if you're older and you're more self-aware and you're maybe a little bit more aware of who you are than I was when I was 20 years old, it is possible to inspire your partner to want to grow and develop with you, even if you've been together for a long time. But if they don't, then maybe that means that you do end up having to break up and you find a relationship partner who is personal growth minded, who will help you in ascending in your ascension process and your spiritual awakening. Okay, now the fifth way that the 3D matrix is keeping you trapped is, all right, a lot of you aren't gonna like this one, don't care. Women can do anything men can do, and polarity doesn't matter. Let's just be neutral. Y'all. I feel like I'm cracking open something here, because this is so big. This whole push around neutrality, around, the just like gender doesn't matter. No, it fucking does. It does. Divine feminine, divine masculine matters. Okay, here's why. Polarity is necessary. Because when a woman is in her masculine, or if she's neutral, she doesn't arouse masculine instinct. She doesn't arouse the primal power that she longs for, that makes it feel safe for her to fully surrender and open up to him. I don't know if I need to say this again, but polarity is necessary, because when a woman is in her masculine or she is neutral, she will not arouse masculine instinct. It's because men don't instinctively protect other men. Okay? If you want a strong man, if you want a man connected to his primal power who you feel safe to surrender with, you get to learn how to be in your divine feminine, my love. You get to learn it. Okay, I don't know where, I'm not even going to get into all of the politics around, feminism. But I will tell you that it has basically made a lot of women think that it doesn't matter and that being connected to their divine feminine isn't important. And I'm going to say, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. If you want a relationship where you can truly surrender and feel safe to do so, then polarity must happen. Maybe that's not what you want. In that case, fine, go and be neutral all of your life. Don't care. That's what suits you, great. But most women, especially the ones that I work with, they want to be able to surrender and receive. They want to be in their divine feminine so bad, but they have been given a blueprint that says it's fucking wrong to be. Okay? So no more of that. You get to learn how to be in your divine feminine so you can feel safe to surrender, to have the type of orgasmic experience you deeply, deeply desire. Because when you change and you tap into that divine feminine essence and you start to learn how to receive, to let go, and to trust, to feel safe in this state, the masculine steps up. And the way that you always want, you've always wanted, but you've been so scared to be connected to that divine feminine part of you. So these are the 5 ways that the 3D relationship matrix is keeping you stuck in your relationships. It's keeping you trapped. It's keeping you not evolved, okay? If you want to evolve in your relationship, if you want a personal growth-minded relationship where you're growing together, you're ascending together, you're having deeper intimacy and connection, you're having spiritual awakenings together, maybe it leads you to learning Tantra together, all of these things, then it's time to step into the 5D relationship matrix, my love. So if that's you, let's start in Sensually Embodied Woman. Okay, as you know, I like to work with individuals before I work with a couple because there's so much healing and integration that you need to do on your own that will automatically set off a trigger within the relationship to set it on a new course, on this course of moving from the 3D to the 5D. You start to learn these things for yourself. You start to unconditionally learn how to love yourself. Remember, that was number 1. You got to start there, babe. You got to start to learn to love all parts and pieces of you because you cannot possibly show up and unconditionally love your partner if you don't know how to do it for you. Okay? If you don't know how to take relationship conflict and see it as a blessing and something that's coming up to be healed and integrated, then you're just going to keep bumping up against a wall, being pissed off that your partner pisses you off all the time, and then you're getting nowhere. So let's start an SEW. Test drive starts August 23rd. You need to go to www.tillystorm.com/sensually-embodied-woman, and you can click apply below, and there's a little button to apply. Just fill out the form, and it's like a little quiz, and then you'll be taken to book a call. If you qualify, you'll answer some questions on the call form, and you'll have a little chat with my assistant Jennifer, who will give you all of the details and will assess if you're a really good fit for the program. And if you want to do the test drive, you can let her know you want to test drive. If you want to sign up for the full program, you can sign up for the full program. Whatever works for you, we would love to have you. And to create this shift, and this is where it starts, loves, create this shift from the 3D to the 5D relationship matrix. Thank you so much for listening. Please share this episode with a friend, and please rate and review the podcast below. And we'll see you next week. Bye.